Well, good evening and welcome to Membership Updates Live. For those of you that are new for us, we have added a new feature as music for our gathering method. And I promise you, tonight's selection was not only fun, but it was relevant to the topic. Bert may decide to share tonight or share at the next council coordinated session to entice a few more folks to join us. But my name is George Snipes. I'm a field director for the Atlanta Area Council. And with me this evening is Bert Bender, our council new member coordinator. And we're excited to share a little bit tonight about recruiting new leaders. As always, feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A portion at the bottom. This is a webinar format, so that's the best way to ask questions. We can share those with Bert throughout the presentation or at the end. They can be on the topic of recruiting new leaders, or they can be about membership in general. These are definitely trying and exciting times, and we're trying new things and being probably more innovative than we have in years for membership. So feel free to help explore these topics with us, and thanks for participating tonight. And with that, I'll turn it over to Bert.
All right, well, welcome everyone. Thanks for taking some time out of what's turned into a beautiful evening. It seems like only a week ago we were sweltering, and now it's comfortable to go out and take a walk, and thanks for being here. There will be time in about 30 minutes to go do that. So let me start with a piece from something that we'll share that we posted on the council website. This is a parable about leadership recruitment. Every scout unit has 4 parents. They're named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was a job that had to be done. Everybody was sure somebody would do it, but it turns out anybody could have done it. However, nobody did. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. So it ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. And that's really sort of a key message here, because when you're recruiting, you've got to find things for anybody and everybody to do so that you don't end up with nobody getting the job done. And to share some ideas about that, I just want to review a few things. One is, I realize that every PAC has completely different scenarios about what they need. Some PACs may be at a point where they need to have all new leaders recruited because you've lost everybody to cross over, or maybe you have some needs in some dens. Maybe you need replacements in certain key areas. You may be that lucky PAC that actually has thriving cub master and den leaders and committee chair and success and treasurer and all those roles, and you're just looking to pick up treasurers or pick up assistants and successors so that you can keep going and be successful. And even in a PAC that has strong leadership at a lot of levels, dens may be different. We see every year there are some dens that we have that for some reason the parents just step up and volunteer, and in other reasons they're all expecting that somebody will do it, and then everybody doesn't do it. And it takes different ways to cajole people. And we will get into the 50 ways to lure a leader in a little bit. One thing that is important to think about, because every recruitment situation is different, is you really have to think constantly about recruiting adult leaders to help, even if it's just helping in a little way, because every time you do that, you're building stronger families through scouting. And that's our job, that's our role. Because if you make that parent a leader, a hero, helping the group and then recognizing them for doing a good job, you are building a stronger family. So you want to create a culture of leading, a culture of helping, so that your PAC has everybody involved in some way. Obviously, there's different ways to approach that. You don't really do that for big jobs. You want to focus on targeted ways to get that next cub master, because you don't want to just pick anybody randomly to be the cub master. But you do want to set a tone of everybody helps in some way. And that's really the theme of the Atlanta Area Council Recruiting Resources website on recruiting leaders. Let me pull that up for just a second. This page, Recruiting Leaders, is found on the Atlanta Area Council page. You look at volunteers and there's recruiting resources. And what we've got here is sort of on this page, a general set of ideas that are critical to think about, to set a tone, to think about constant leader recruitment, finding people who are willing to help in some way, because it's so important that parents participate too, to make it a family program. Now, one of the things that we have right now that's a blessing amidst the curse of this pandemic is that if you are sharing Scouting on Demand or the Cub Scout Adventure resources that are found on the Atlanta Area Council website, you can actually make every parent into a leader of their own scouts. And guess what? If they look at the now 70 family-led adventure plans, so that's over 2/3 of Cub Scout adventures, they're going to see something that's a lot like what a den leader sees. It's just a little bit simpler. It doesn't have all the den meeting administration. And frankly, in a lot of cases, especially in electives, it's going to give a little more helpful information so that mom and dad and grandpa and uncle and aunt can be experts and really help out their scouts as they do scouting. The page has other resources. The idea of to set a tone of volunteering and let people be successful. We have this concept of starting with a little task ask. Ask somebody to do something small. And then when they succeed at it, you maybe ask them to do something bigger. Or whatever they do, if you praise them for giving it a go, and eventually you will find the right role for them, and it could be a big role. But that's a great way to start, because if you want to go up to somebody and say, hey, George, so George, act like you're a real parent and you don't have a khaki shirt, and I realize you're an expert on scouting because you have a khaki shirt. I'm just here wearing the PAC t-shirt. So I'm just a guy. So George, hey, would you be the den leader?
Ooh, that sounds like a lot.
That is a lot. So, and that's hard for people. But if I ask, hey, George, could you bring a trail mix snack to the next socially distant hike we do in 2 weeks? Can you put that together? Here's a recipe.
I could probably do that. Yeah, sure.
All right. And then when you do, you will be a hero. You will be recognized, probably with a baggie of trail mix that you will be asked to wear on your shirt, showing that you are, in fact, the trail mix master. Congratulations, George, getting it done. And what will George's son or daughter say? You're awesome, Dad. You got the Trail Mix Master Award. So, and I just made that up there. So, but you want to be thinking about getting people involved so that you can find the right role for them. Now, for some roles, you like Cub Master and Den Leader, you really want to take a longer approach to it, take a look and decide, how to go about doing it. And there is this piece that's linked on the Atlanta Area Council website that's got a very thorough approach to how you would fill a big role, like a Cub Master role. That's so important. And it gives tips. Get the charter organization involved, make it a personal visit. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't tell people, oh, it's only an hour a week, because they will recognize that you have probably violated the first scout law, that a scout is trustworthy. Let people know what's involved, and then let them, make the decision so that you don't have somebody step in and get disenchanted. Because a lot of times, if somebody gets recruited to be a leader, they may say, oh, I can't do it. I have to quit. And they will think, I probably need to withdraw my entire family from this program because I've shamed the family. I'm going to act like scouting is not what we're going to do, and I'll deal with any blowback at home. And we've seen that time and again, and we really have to, really sit down and counsel that former den leader that it's okay. You've done your year. You can still be here. We love you, man. another thing is you're going to identify somebody who's that parent of a kindergartner or first grader, and be patient. They may be an Eagle Scout. Let them get started. Let them have a little bit of success. And then when it's time, you will be able to come in and recruit them to a big job. So this page ends at the bottom with a, frankly, it's out of our pack in College Park, a every parent helps policy, so that every parent realizes, and this is from pre-COVID times, you know, I've either got to be a registered leader and engaged in my role, or I have to be a helper on something like a, you know, help the Pinewood Derby, help organize campouts, help Blue and Gold Banquet, make badge buys up to the Scout Shop. Everybody, we slice and dice and have roles for it. We also have a requirement that everybody leads activities at least 2 den meetings, because everybody can find something they can do and can work it out with the den leader to arrange that. So that's a resource. You can make that part of the expectation when people come in. But I realize that's not
Oh, I think we got Bert frozen here.
enough. There's so much more. Second page here called Nuts and Bolts of Leader Recruiting and Organizing.
Hey, Bert, can you back up about 10 seconds? You froze out there for a minute.
Oh, okay. So we have, yeah, I guess it was loading up the page. So we have a second page called Nuts and Bolts of Leader Recruiting and Organizing, because no method works all the time. Every method works some of the time for somebody somewhere, maybe not for you. So we have a lot of ideas. One of them is, you know, get organized, figure out how your pack works. The pack of 100 will be organized very differently than the pack of 10 as to far as what jobs you need and how you'll get that done. And to help with that, we've got a bunch of tools. And what I'm going to do is flip back over. Here's called 50 Ways to Lure a Leader, thus the Paul Simon song there at the pre-show. But it's actually grown to like over 80 different ideas, because every time I, you know, go to University of Scouting or meet up with people, I will hear, whoops, that's the wrong one. Let me close that out. I'll hear ideas and think, oh, snap, that is a good one that we ought to use. And we add it to this, updated and posted to the Council Nuts and Bolts page. And let's find it. Where did we? And this actually has the reason why we have this as the 50 Ways to Lure a Leader, because to paraphrase the Paul Simon song, there must be 50 ways to lure a leader. You ask the whole pack, Jack. Every woman and man, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. Not just 1, 2, or 3. Everyone's a new plus, Gus. You don't need to group discuss much. Do a one-on-one plea, Lee. Every new helper is key. So this has a bunch of ideas in different areas, starting with communicating to create an expectation, like having an every parent leads policy. You know, you set out there ways to sign up so that people know, oh, this is expected of us. I can do it voluntarily and sign up, or I can hide out and wait. You could do talent surveys, although in training, I always say that savvy parents will know that the reason why you give them a talent survey is you want them to volunteer. And savvy parents will fill out the talent survey and they will write on the talent survey, I have no skills of any sort. There is nothing I can do. I'm amazed that I'm able to get through the day. Thank you guys for leading. But frankly, if you get to know parents, you will find out that they in fact know something, and then you can give them the one-on-one ask so that when you find out what they know, you can put them to work. And so this page has a lot of ideas like that. And it goes into some other areas like using activities to lure leaders. And one of the ways that we've seen that done is PACs will get to know who's signing up and who the parents are when you find out, oh, this guy likes fishing. You may have never gone fishing as a PAC in your life, but if you've got somebody who's really into it, why not? Because you can get that person to lead the event and do something that the PAC really likes, that he can be in charge of teaching and inspiring everyone to say, hey, this is cool. And in 2020, this is socially distant. So how cool is that? So let's play a little bit of a game here, and let's go back to share a bit while we wait for questions to come in. I'm going to go to a new page on the council website page, and we'll go to a new topic on the 50 Ways to Lure a Leader page. Hang on while I move my mouse up here on the other screen, and we are going to use the wheel decide method. And the wheel comes over to lottery. I have everyone's name in a bin at the Blue and Gold banquet. It's funny, but no, don't do that. Let's go to a better one. Oh, we went to lottery again. Let's, I do like the Godfather method. It's actually on the list. You're gonna have somebody who along the way you will have helped along, and by the time they're like a wolf or bear parent, you're going to say, the time has come. I told you you would need to do a service for your Godfather, for your PAC. We really need you to be the den leader just this year. It is time for you to pay your service. You can do that. Maybe you don't go the whole Godfather stick, but you can actually lean on people because they'll recognize that the fact that others have pitched in and helped them and their kids in scouting, they'll recognize it is time to pay it back. Here's one, and this is sort of subtle, and that is using recognition as the lure. So anytime any parent does something good, even, you know, as soon as they step up, make a big deal about it. Even that parent who finally, as a, you know, their child has gone from lion into Arrow of Light, and finally as a, you know, 5th grade Arrow of Light assistant den leader has registered, make a big deal of it. You know, even though they are the prodigal parent, you've been waiting all these years, you know, give them recognition. Have ceremonies, play it up in your messaging, emails, website, Facebook page, send handwritten thank you notes, send, you know, thank you notes to the, you know, their employers. Let the church and school know who's getting it done, because anything you do will cause that person to say, I am appreciated. And anything you do in front of the PAC and den and the kids will cause them to look, the kids to look up to that parent leader as someone who is helpful and getting it done. And there's a whole set of topics on that. Oh, we've covered that one already. Let's do the organization chart wish list. And I'm going to come out of the share here because we actually have a concept of, while you know you have to have a cub master and den leaders, you also know that they do a lot of things. So if you have a need for somebody to pick up a job of, say, helping out with the Pinewood Derby or with the Blue and Gold banquet, if you give people the opportunity to take a small job or take an assistant job, you can actually make more happen because everybody is getting a spot to help out in a meaningful way. So here's an example of a generic chart we have in Word that you could set up for your pack. You're going to list some of the key jobs up top, like committee chair, cub master, and up in the top here, den leaders. But you're also going to focus on creating teams for things like activities and membership and fundraising, and looking for volunteers at every grade. From, this is only set up for Tiger through Arrow of Light, but you can set it up for all 6 levels so that you get people involved in every activity, and then leaders for the special activities, whatever is in your PAC program, so that people can see, oh, we're going to do scouting for food. I like service. We need a volunteer for that. I will sign up. We also would use this as, when we really do have a fulsome recruiting year, we will have a list at the bottom that we call unassigned and not exempt. Exempt means you're a spouse of somebody who's already putting in endless hours a week, like cub masters and den leaders, so that we, focus on how do we get those folks to be involved and step up and take a job. And you can then create your signups in multiple ways using Sign Up Genius, surveys, and then one-on-one contacts as you try to fill roles. And every time you fill a role, you recognize people for doing that. I'll go back to the 50 ways list for a second, and let's go through a few other sections that it may spawn some questions there. Activities and advancement. If you're doing stuff like you go on a hike, but you didn't call it an advancement event, the parent who asks, hey, is there a badge for this? Your answer should be, why, yes, there is. And go ahead and get that person, since they've indicated some interest in it, they may be willing to be the person who will lead that next time, because there's no rule against doing a hike a month if you're in a Cub Scout pack. And the more you can keep kids spread out on the trail, the more you can get parents involved as leaders. Recognition, here's an idea: commissioning ceremonies. Make a big deal as soon as you get people involved and make it a ceremony. You could have Parent of the Month or Star of the Game. Make it an official thing. You have that in sports. You can do it for parents as well. Find time to be social. The last thing you want as Cub Master is when you approach a parent, they're thinking, uh-oh, what does he want? Get to know them so that every time you come up, you're actually making friends. And granted, through that, you'll know when to ask. You'll also know when not to ask, because if you get to know somebody and you realize, oh, they're involved in some pretty heavy elder care, let's just let them go this year and support them in what they are dealing with. Other ideas beyond the org chart, we sometimes, and we've used this in the spring for our troop, used a pledge card. I know, George and everyone from the council wants to come with the Friends of Scouting pledge card, but we sometimes have added to that when we've had vacancies where we let people know it's time to make a pledge, not just money for Friends of Scouting, but also what will you do for us in the coming year? Collect assistance until you have a leader. We find this time and time again with dens where they say, oh, I'd like to help, but I can't be the leader. I could be somebody's assistant. And if you get, say, 4 out of the 8 families to each agree to put up an assistant, surely one of the 4 could be the den leader and take the help of 3 assistants. That's maybe going to be even more successful than having one den leader who burns out because there are no assistants. The other 7 families sat back and said, George he's got it. We don't have to step up. Another concept is make it a co-leader. It takes 2. You can have co-leaders. You can have husband and wife den leaders. You can have, 2 buddies who, love to tailgate on the weekends, and they'll do cast iron chef cooking when they get together with the kids when the team is playing away. Nothing wrong with that. And in fact, Den co-leader is an official role that they can register for. So it doesn't have to just be one person. Term limits. Give everyone an exit strategy. You know, will you do it this year? And we're going to make it clear when we announce you that you're Cub Master for this year, but you're on the clock. Also, you can do it in reverse. You ask somebody to be Cub Master or Den leader, and they say, oh, I can't do it this year. Could you be an assistant this year and then take over next year? And that may be a way to get people involved. Here's something, I actually did this when my youngest son was going up into the 4th grade. I resigned as Cub Master. And I said, not going to do it. Somebody else has to step up. And we really had to do a lot of slicing and dicing of jobs, but we got somebody else who was a perfectly wonderful Cub Master and did everything that was required, because the Cub Master job has one requirement, and that is be the MC at PAC events. If you have a bunch of parents who do all the other stuff, that's all they need to be, and everything will get done. And we had a great Cub Master for the next 2 years who was a terrific MC. And because we got everyone into the habit of, oh, many of us have to step up, because I was intentionally stepping back, it worked. We had a decent transition then when I passed over into the troop completely with Alex. We actually had a great combo of chair and Cub Master step over. Here's an idea called visualize the future. When you have a leadership transition coming, show everybody. A lot of times this is like last minute. It's like at the blue and gold banquet, the Cub Master and committee chair and, you know, a bunch of Den leaders look around and realize we're all moving on. I'm getting a job transfer. Our kids are moving up to the troop, and you line people up on the stage, and then you congratulate those who are not going to be active in the troop, in the PAC next year, as they step off, and everyone realizes there's not many people left on the stage. So that gives a visual for everyone to say, we're going to have to step up and get this done. Right sizing jobs and program. You know, you can actually take, and we're actually going to be doing this for, it seems like every other year we do this for Webelos. We actually have Den leaders who say, I can't be the Den leader, but parents will say, we'll do it as a collective. And they will assign topics, and they will lead the topic that they are good in. And you'll have like one person who's nominally the Den leader who will introduce the person who is leading the adventure topic that day, so that you end up slicing and dicing the job of running the Den activities. And that helps people step up into a little job, a little task ask that they can do. And there's a lot of different ideas about this here that you can apply. Also, right size your program. This is less of an issue now that more PACs realize that they don't have to go on the QT about not meeting every week. Because it used to be a few years ago, all the literature said DENs must meet every week. And now official BSA materials and training say most DENs meet every other week. Some meet once a month. And part of that was the realization that if you, sometimes less is more. If you meet less but have better meetings, you're going to have a more successful program, and you're not going to burn out leaders because they will, you know, not dread every Tuesday that, oh, I have to put on another meeting. And they'll have more time in between to work on a fabulous program for the following Tuesday and to engage parents to get them up to speed. And so you will see here that there are 83 items ending with the Godfather. There's actually a link to the actual scene where the Godfather asks somebody to do a service for the Godfather. And hopefully somewhere in these ideas, you will find ways that will fit your situation with that next person you're trying to get to be a leader. But we are now at 6 o'clock.
We are.
Do we have questions, George?
I don't see any queued up here, and I'll talk for a minute. If anybody else wants to pop in a question into the Q&A feature, we can ask Bert live here. But I just really appreciate the wealth of knowledge about this, as well as the different tactics, because I think a couple of things you said really rang true for me is that every pack is different. Every potential parent to become a helper is different. And so we've got to meet them where they are and serve them best. The concept of mini assistants, co-leaders, den leader by committee. I don't think we can have a pack with too much adult involvement. I don't think we can. And what can happen all too often is we hold on to a quarter of the people a little bit too long. We don't start those transitions early enough, like you talked about. And while that having people stay around and be engaged is great, but we don't bring in people behind them. We don't build out that PAC committee. We don't build in assistants. That's what really gets PACs and programs in trouble. And we can't serve our mission when we don't have strong, vibrant PACs. So really awesome list of resources, especially the 84 ways to lure a leader and counting. Looking forward to seeing how that list continues to grow. And if anyone on this call has any suggestions, feel free to message us. We're all ears, and I think I'd love to see that list crest 100. Don't see any further questions in here, but wanted to share some excitement. I believe next week's topic is it safe and how to gather? Is that correct, Bert?
I believe that's right.
And we'll have a special guest. We'll have Jason Baldridge, Director of Safe Scouting and Support, help lead a discussion as our PACs and DENs talk about when and how to gather as a group safely. That'll also include some resources from our Health Committee Chairman, Dr. Jeremy Ackerman. So really looking forward to next week as we continue to grow and develop our PACs and to have a strong fall and be a great place for new families to join.
All right.
Anything I left out?
I think we're good. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great evening. Enjoy this weather.
Bye now.